thought today I would do a video about trims, about how to glue trims on and when to use a particular trim. There are two main trims, double piping or gimp. And there are two different types of gimp. There's a French gimp, which is a little bit more elaborate, and then there's a scroll gimp, which is less elaborate. But the colors come in many different colors, except that there are many more fabric colors than gimp colors. So sometimes it's difficult to find a choice. You're not ever going to get an exact choice. The thing about the double piping is it's done out of the fabric, so it is exact. So I was going to show you a little bit about when to make the decision about double piping or gimp. We'll talk a little bit about that right now. Traditional furniture like this, I like a nice French gimp. And the thing about gimp too is that it goes easily around corners, much easier than double piping, and it's flatter. And double piping tends to not corner out as well, and I'll show you that in a minute. But the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit before we get going, the actual gluing, is the type of glue gun that you guys might have. It's really to your advantage to get an industrial glue gun. Okay, this one here is a Stanley, and the thing about it is they have two settings. I actually have this taped to the high setting. Very important to get a glue gun that has a high temperature, a high melting capacity. Most all of the guns that you buy in the art stores, the arts and crafts stores, are not going to do the job properly. And the reason they won't, the heating element on those is done so that people don't burn themselves. Okay, so the warning here is the industrial guns will burn. So when you're using the glue gun, if you do get glue on your finger, immediately wipe it off. You know, have a piece of muslin at the ready somewhere, at the ready. Because a lot of people hesitate if they have nice clothes on to rub on their pants. By the time you decide not to do it, it's too late. You'll get burned. So be very careful when you use an industrial glue gun. So let's get going on and actually showing you how to glue. So this is interesting because this double piping, this is an old piece, it's going to be reupholstered. This double piping was put on with Elmer's glue. In the old days, that's what we used, Elmer's glue instead of the hot glue. So the Elmer's glue is put on, it takes 24 hours to dry usually. But when you put it on, they actually they kind of dressed it up, put the double welt on, and then they shot staples through. I don't recommend that at all. But if you don't have a hot glue gun and you want to use Elmer's glue, it's a wood, they used a wood glue, you can use your 6-ounce tacks, and that's the traditional way of doing it, is to glue, and then you put a 6-ounce tack in between the double piping. Now it creates just a little tiny hole. So you leave it, you leave it for 24 hours, and then when you take the tack out, you twist it. You don't pull the tack. What that does is it leaves a little tiny hole, so you take your regulator afterwards, and you just go along like this, and it closes the hole up. That's how we used to do it. The hot glue gun is a lot easier. However, the hot glue gun, you can make a mistake, especially on velvet. And with the glue, very few mistakes, because you could wipe it clean right away. With the hot glue, especially if you get it on velvet, oftentimes you can't recover from that. So you have to be careful. You really have to get used to your equipment. I'm going to give you some tips on how to get used to that hot glue gun. So let's get started. So I just wanted to show you something on here too. When you're doing double piping, you try not to, what they did is they had a piece right on the front. Okay, so when you're cutting your fabric, you try to leave yourself, and you've seen my other YouTube videos, try to leave a long piece of fabric. Don't cut across. I always tell people, don't cut across. If you have some odd pieces, make sure on one side of the fabric, left or right, depending on if you're left or righty, you have a long piece of fabric. So that you avoid things like this. If you have a long piece of fabric, you can get this all out of one length, and then only have your seam in the back. Okay, so I would never leave a seam in the front like this if I can help it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this just to show you something here. So with the hot glue gun, okay, what I would suggest that you do is get used to the flow of the gun. Once you have it on long enough, go over to your material and just kind of squeeze the trigger, and just to check the flow out. Okay, you don't want to overflow. Okay, and what you're doing too is getting used to using your hot glue gun, I want to bring this up just for the benefit of the camera. Just with the head of the glue gun, you're spreading the glue out, and you're not spreading it the width of the double piping. It's a little bit less than that because you don't want it peeking through, and I'll show you right now. So again, you want to keep that handy in case you get any glue on your fingers. Okay, so let's start. So let's say this was all glued. Okay, what I would suggest that you do is spread out the glue at about every 2 inches or so, 3 inches maybe, and then put your gun down, set your piping, and your fingers act as a mini clamp or a temporary clamp. You have about 3 seconds for it to dry. So I don't suggest that you go too far, especially as a beginner. I suggest that you go small. You can even go 1 inch at a time if you want, but don't go any more than, I'd say, 2 or 3 inches. Okay, so let's show you again. By the way, very important tool to have handy is a regulator. If you don't have a regulator, a needle, a big pin, or even a yarn needle would do. Okay, so have that handy in case some glue does peek through. If hot glue peeks through, you've got 3 seconds to put it back. And I'll show you. I'll make a mistake here on purpose. Let's say you loaded it up and you put too much of it, and you had the glue peeking through. You see that? Then you can take your regulator and tuck it down. Okay? But you shouldn't glob it on like that. Okay, let's show you now. What I want is a nice even flow, and the head of your glue gun just spreading that out about maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, and then you hold it 1001, 1002, 1003. Okay? So what I want to do is show you at this point, I want to come over to a corner. Okay, a little trick on the corners on double piping. I'm going to show you a GIMP after we do this. Okay, so you have a double piping, let's say, and you're coming to a corner. You glue to here. Let's just do that. Let's say we're glued to here. All right? And then before you get to the corner, this is the trick. Pre-form your corner. Pre-form your corner. Even if you go like this, even if you take your hammer and hammer that down before you do any gluing, pre-form the corner. And by the way, your salvage end of the double piping is always you want it to go down. Okay? So we're going to glue up the corner, not too far, right? Too far. And you pre-formed it, so what happens is it really makes that transition nicely. What you see here is a staple that they used to put it in, but you don't want to do stapling through a double piping. But that's the trick there. And this shouldn't be here. You want to make sure that if you're doing double piping, make sure it's long enough, okay? So that's just one tip there. Let's show you the GIMP, what the difference is on the GIMP. Okay, we'll use this nice French GIMP. So on French GIMP, it's a little thinner than the scroll GIMP. Some people like the scroll GIMP because it's thicker and it hides more mistakes. But let's use the French. Okay. Let's just cut a piece. Let's just cut a piece off. Okay. And let's just get a piece started. Okay. Now, so GIMP is more porous, or more porous, definitely, compared to the double piping. So when you take your fingers into the double piping like so, with the hot glue behind it, you're not going to get the hot glue seeping through. You will get it on the GIMP. So with me, I've been doing this 40 years. While we've just been filming, I got glue on my fingers, and you didn't hear me scream at all because I have calluses on all 10 fingers. So for those without calluses, I'm going to show you another trick. Instead of holding it tight, holding it in order for it to dry, I would recommend that you use a magnetic hammer or any small hammer. This is a tack hammer, it's our specialty hammer. So you know, I'll use that while I'm doing this. So it's just, we dress it up the same way. We're spreading it with the head of the tack, the gun. And then, normally what I would do is just like this myself, but for you, you might want to just tap it, okay? You got about 3 seconds, and that's done. And again, also your regulator, it comes in handy to have that in case you have seepage. You can quickly do that. Piece of glue there that we'll take out. Okay, now on the gimp, it's the same thing as the double piping. You want to pre-form the corner. Pre-form the corner. Look at that. All right, just kind of push it down like that. That's what I like about gimp, because it transitions those corners much cleaner than the double piping, right? It just is much cleaner. Some people do this at a 45-degree angle. I don't. And then we used to use gimp tacks in the old days. It's just another tack that went right through, a blue-headed tack. But because of the glue gun, we don't need to do that. Okay, so let's just glue that up. And done. That's a corner. So there you have it. I hope that this helped in your pursuits of how to put trim on upholstered furniture, and maybe trying to choose which trim to use and where. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. And folks, don't forget to go to our Facebook and the website, upholsteryonbroadway.com, click on shop, and check out our new U-Cover line of upholstery supplies, and especially the kit. Make yourself a better upholsterer by buying the kit, and enjoy yourself. Thanks a lot. See you later.